Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Alicia Brashay here at Cosmic Gateway. So, this will be a June update with intuitive insight guidance. Um, I originally planned to do, like I did last month, a very sort of extended singular energy update and then do them separately. But I think what I'm going to do this month, or at least how I'm being guided, is to do more of a brief overview. At least that's my intention, to go through some of the notes and things that I've observed that have come through to share, and then go into the intuitive guidance. So there will be timestamps at the bottom. And this month, I have been instructed by my higher self to do the intuitive insights a little bit differently. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to play out until I get into it, but I have been shown to do half of like a mini energetic read before I get into the cards and finish off with a few cards. So that's going to be the format for this update. So we're entering into June. Can you believe we're almost halfway through the month? So we have June solstice coming up, which I feel is a big energy change point as we move into the second half of the year. I think I've been talking a lot about that over at least the last 2 years, that we're going to have a very different experience from the first half to the second half. So we're getting closer to that mark. For June, sorry, there's so much information that wants to come through. For June, the words that have come through just as I sat down to record was June is the illumination of the heart. And I think, or what I feel into that, what that means is that I mentioned back in the last energy update for May that we had been working through a lot of dense energies, been a lot of collective energy cleanup that we've been all working through personally, that have been more around the themes that would be in relation to the lower three chakras. So the base, sacral, solar plexus, personal power, safety, security, finances, personal relationships, our creativity. There's been all these kind of themes, our masculine, our feminine. And what that has been leading to is for us to get more permanently anchored into our illuminating heart space. And that's where we're going to operate from, or that is the space where we're best to operate from, moving through what may be a different experience for us as individuals, but may look very different as a collective unraveling for a couple of months. So I feel, just to round off and cap off my observations of what has been occurring throughout May. May has been testing, challenging, many initiations, a lot of faulty belief systems and programs and energies that have been still a part or enmeshed within us, that we've carried from the beginning of our awakening process, whenever that may have been, to coming into a completion and a roundup phase. So I know that I've experienced it, and a lot of people that I've spoken to have experienced similar themes that have been coming up for reevaluation, to be able to work through at a deeper level, or to see how you're internally or externally reacting, if you are still reacting to it, or if you're in a more zero pointed space of neutrality in regards to it, to kind of clear it from the field. And in conjunction with that, we may see people return from the past. And it allows us to get a deeper access to perhaps where the original trauma occurred, or to clean up what is still lingering, this essence that may be lingering within our energy field, within our body. So why is that happening? I believe that that is happening so that we can be at our most, I don't want to say our highest vibration, but it's allowing us to access our most pure essence. And that's all a part of where we're heading. And I'll give more context around that as we go through. Um, Another message that I got was that June, this feels like it's a more of a collective. Um, June is the reversals happening. And I believe that I've had similar messages in the past, reversals happening before our very eyes. The switch gets flipped. And the image that I was getting with that was seeing like triangles reversing themselves. So you'll find that the artwork was very much inspired by that. So there's a lot of triangles happening, very structured. So it's almost like the structures that have been inverted when we look at the systems that have been existing on our planet that have been highly inverted and not for the people, that is getting reversed and switched and flipped before our very eyes. So very tangible changes in the breakdown of the structures, the systems, a lot of truth coming to light, a lot of undeniable things that we'll witness that will come through mainstream, not just through our communities. And so I feel like there's two different frequencies or energies that I can feel into when we move into July and beyond. As June. Oh, there's okay, June, July, beyond. And that goes into the two realities that are playing out, the organic and the inorganic, if for lack of a better word. And it's oscillating back and forth, and you can feel it's in every moment, in every interaction, and every space. It's changing moment to moment. And I kind of made this joke recently that the level of our increased sensitivity that has been on the up and up as we've entered into this year, as we've coming on with new skills and abilities that are already natural to us, they're just coming on in greater strength. There is this part that people don't necessarily talk about, is how to navigate increasingly becoming more and more sensitive, more and more telepathic, more psychic, healing abilities coming on. But how do we navigate that in our daily lives? Because that can be a challenge. And I know for me personally, it has this what I've been calling almost like an allergic physical reaction to density. And I've noticed that with conversations, with interactions, or even jumping onto social media, I have this instant, well, it has changed now. It was a physical response in the body of like this almost a stress response in the body where I could feel my nervous system like ramp up. I could feel this almost pressure and squeeze type sensation. And I think I talked about that back in May. There was this feeling that has now changed. Now it is intense fatigue. So, what that indicates to me is that is when we're operating at that frequency bandwidth, however that comes in, whether we're just sitting at home by ourselves and we feel that energy sort of come into our space, or whether it's through what we're thinking, what we're feeling, our interactions, whether that be interpersonal or social media, it is giving us indications where we're leaking our own energy, or there is a very distinct vibrational mismatch. And it showing us what's not in alignment for us. And it's also indicating where we can strengthen and become more solid within ourselves, so that I believe ultimately what the goal is coming into that heart space. We can radiate and not absorb as much. We can emanate and almost impact and transform the nature of reality that we're interacting with, so that it has a direct response to our vibration. Whereas I don't feel like that has fully occurred within me yet. I feel like this is a process that's unraveling. Yeah, unraveling. So the big cleanup that is in progress, this is asking us to be able to clean up our energy field, our body, our emotions, our thought processes in probably I can honestly say this is the highest level of self-mastery I feel like I've ever gone through at this point. It feels like it has hit the the masterful level of being put into practice everything that has been learnt along the way throughout our journeys. And thus, while we're putting into practice everything that we've learnt, all the tools, the techniques, the wisdom, the understanding, it is also giving us the opportunity to alchemize at a more profound level so that we can access new modalities, new skill sets, new techniques to come online. And this is something new that I'm still playing around with. That's why I want to go into bits and pieces like quite briefly and then flesh it out later once I've come into a deeper awareness of all these insights that have come through to me. So this next level up that we're being called to is basically witnessing and understanding how we are capable of creating miracles, basically, being the alchemist and radically changing our realities, but also materializing and manifesting. And I think that as we go through this phase collectively, that's going to only increase with more chaos, that is, we're being put in the most optimum uh, environment to be able to create these type of miracles and have them witnessed and by ourselves to see what we're fully capable of, but also for them to be witnessed by others so that other people can it's like we're leading by example, living by example, being the alchemist by example, so that other people can witness that and know that they can do it too. um, so just going back to the realities that are oscillating, I believe that at any moment we can tune into, you know, just to give some examples. You know, I was talking about that allergic reaction, feeling the fatigue of interacting or interfacing with density. Um, you know, that to me would represent the old world that is dying. And that has become more and more apparent throughout May that we are living through the end of a dying paradigm or matrix, whatever you want to call it. So it's using our body as a barometer, as an indicator of what frequency bandwidth or what timeline we're operating at in any moment. When we're feeling more heart-centered, more aligned, have more energized, our body's feeling better. So really using our body as an indicator, that's when we know that we're on that other different frequency bandwidth, which is the pathway into new reality, new earth. And so the guidance that's come to me is it's a fine line tightrope sort of balancing act. And know that you can shift your focus and attune your frequency at will. And how do you do that? Really, very, very simply, getting into your heart space and feeling, I get this feeling or sensation of swirling that occurs in my heart. And when I feel into that, I get this love sensation. It's a feeling of love or a feeling of secure, safe, comfortable in my own skin. It's an energy that I see as either rainbow or gold. It kind of changes, or pink sometimes. And it's like as I feel into that energy, I kind of allow it to expand through and radiate through my field and into my reality. And once that occurs, I notice the shift and change in my experience. So I've been doing that, really playing with that very, very regularly. In terms of the cleanup, one thing that has been highlighted is the intense heat at nighttime. I've been experiencing this probably for a good week or more, and that can be equated to a couple of things. I feel as though part of it is a round of activation or clearing that is like trying to open up our energy channel completely. So to experience maybe more Kundalini energy rising and activations in that way, or um, it could represent a burning away of the old, and possibly both at the same time because it's working hand in hand. So burning away what's stored within our bodies, that's clearing the channel and making way segue for this, higher influx. Because I do believe that a lot of us are being prepped right now to be anchors for bringing in these frequency templates, these higher frequency templates, which I do believe is very much um, hmm, tied up or connected with what some people talk about, like the solar flash, the event. And I feel like I'm going to go into that in more detail because there's a lot of information that's come through around people having precursor events. And that has been wildly exciting. It has been probably one of the things that has lit me up the most in the last month was tuning into this information. And to be honest, it felt like, and still does, feels like it's the most important thing to focus on and prep for. Um, I've seen a lot of visions, and this information has been sort of corroborated by a lot of people that I've connected with and speaking to, some that I know, some that I don't know that well, that we are the anchors and the channels. And I'm sure that many of you who are watching this probably have got very similar information, that we are the anchors to hold in that frequency, not just when it occurs, but in preparation. And how it was shown to me was as we come into that heart space and emanate at that, I'll call it an original frequency of our own essence, as we hold that as our permanent baseline, we change and recreate our reality. We get to tune into that higher frequency organic reality that is emerging and being birthed. And so when many of us strategically placed all over the world are doing that, it then becomes the dominant frequency because we hold such a charge that we can push that out, and then it starts to recreate an entire reality as we kind of almost sync up or link up what we're emanating out. So I hope that makes sense. It's all very visual based. I'm going to go into this concept that's come to me about the precursor events, the mini ones that are happening for people all over the world in exponential numbers, more so than I have ever seen before. I think Alicia from Catastro, she put out a post going back a few weeks ago asking people to share about any sort of strange experiences that they may have gone through. And this came up time and time again, a bit people going through experiencing energy in a very palpable, tangible way. And that can, and it will look very different for so many people. This could be being able to glimpse beyond the veil to see non-physical beings, energy patterns with your physical eyes. So that could be one. Another one that's very, very common is people seeing sacred geometry, a lot of vibrant colors, shapes, patterns, almost like watching a movie in front of your eyes. I think another part of that is some of the stuff that I talked about before about the intense sensations in the body, like feeling the heat rising up, feeling the vibrations, feeling like you're going through, like shaking, like being in an earthquake, or having this rotational spin. I know I have that when I know that I'm landing back in my body after I've been taken out for a nap, and I know that I'm multi-dimensionally kind of working in different realms. And it's very, very busy space there right now. Let me just tell you. Last night was very, very intense and increasingly more so. And it feels like it's building to that point where, similar to what we went through last September, it was so busy in dream space that I would have to get up multiple times during the night just because I felt like I needed to have a break from all the busyness that was happening there. So yeah, a lot of precursor events. And what came to me one morning last week was those of us who are being prepped to hold this frequency are having these precursor events to prepare them energetically and, I would say, cognitive, like mentally, like physically, um, so that when the time comes, we are prepared in every way. I think the energy that's increasingly coming through is, it has to come through in increments. Otherwise, it has the capacity to fry our physical body. So it's like this intensive sort of energetic boot camp workout that I know many of us are going through to be able to hold and maintain on a physical level. And we're transforming our bodies, but also, I guess, I almost want to say like the psychological impact. If we're going to start to see bright lights and colors and shapes and beings, if that's something that's not being part of your experience, that will be, it's like preparing you so that when the times come, um, you're well aware and you've gone through like many kind of pre experiences or dress rehearsals, if you will. So that's increasing. What else came through with that was obviously those who are being asked to play that role need to have as much preparation as possible. The other aspect that dawned on me was how it correlates with the increase of solar activity. Now, we are in solar cycle 25. And I remember years ago, maybe around 2018, there was a lot of talk of people saying that the solar flash would happen at the peak of this solar cycle that we're now in. Now, originally, please don't quote me on this. This is kind of like may not be exactly accurate, but originally it was predicted to peak around 2025. But the level of solar activity that we've had that has been incrementally more and more, I think a lot of the experts are saying that it's actually going to peak a lot sooner than what was originally predicted. So I guess a lot of people are now saying that the peak is culminating at the end of 2023 this year or into 2024. So we're really leading into that peak of the solar cycle. And we can see that. I mean, I barely even update as regularly as I used to because it's just happening all the time and it's getting stronger and stronger. And so there's a lot of people who are in the more scientific field that I've sort of stumbled across of late who may not have the more spiritual awareness that talking about the possibility of Carrington event, which occurred in the late 18. Oh, interesting. I'm going to come back to that. The late 1880s. Now, I don't believe that we're going to go through, a Carrington type event where, all the power lines get fried and things like that. I don't see it as a chaotic or catastrophic event. I do feel like it's very much this time around because we're getting to the end of the cycles. It's a multidimensional energy. It's an energy of frequency, of love, of high vibration, of organic nature that is divinely flowing through to radically transform consciousness on this planet. So nothing to be fearful of, but just to be aware that we're being pushed in extreme ways to rid fear, to rid ancestral patterns, whatever is coming up for us, so that we can be in alignment to hold and stabilize that for ourselves and for the collective. um, I think that's about, I could go on and on, but I feel like I've covered as much as I have got in. Oh no, there's two other things. I I'll explain to you one of my precursor, what I call precursor events. And I would love to hear yours if you've been having them too, because I would like to get more data and information about the different types of experiences that people are going through. But mine was happened a week ago today, and I got woken up um, just before midnight, and I had this strange sensation to sort of go into wandering into the kitchen to get a snack, which is very uncommon. It's not something that I usually do. um, and when I was returning from the kitchen back to my bedroom, all of a sudden I had this stream of like a mist energy. It was white and blue, and it was streaming down, and it, with my physical eyes, I was blinded. I could barely see to walk back to my bedroom. And as it kind of streamed down like this, like a mist, and all of a sudden it started almost like strobe light flashing very, very intensely. And that was an uncomfortable experience for me because it almost felt like I was temporarily, being blinded, or something was wrong with my vision. Obviously, this happened with my eyes open, and even when I closed my eyes, it was still going on. So I just quietly got into bed, and it passed within 30 to 40 seconds. But that to me was an experience I've never had before. So talking about these precursor events, in generally speaking, is probably something that has not been experienced up until this point, even if you're a well-seasoned ascension surfer. So yeah, I'd certainly love to hear in the comment section if you've been having any strange occurrences like that. The other part of the cleanup that has been occurring. Okay. Two other things that come to mind, which it triggered me when I was talking about the Carrington event in the late 1880s. There's a lot of information that's been coming through to me, and I thought it was just me personally until I started sharing it with people, and finding out that they were getting very similar information, and it ties it all into what I'm talking about. This started for me back in April, and I woke to a very personal message that was telling me that I was cleaning up ancestral curses on my paternal line specifically. There may be cleanup happening on both maternal, paternal, but this was very specifically masculine side of my ancestry, and it was in relation to curses that have been impacting my lineage, and it was coming down to this final clean out or wrap up. I was given very, very specific dates, which was 1880 to 1970, which I found really interesting because I wasn't even born in 1970, but it doesn't matter because it comes through the ancestral lineage. So therefore, on a DNA level, energetically, or I'm impacted through that, the biological DNA impact. So it comes through intergenerationally. There's so much I could say about that, but I went and did some research into my family tree to find out exactly the specifics of what it was that I was dealing with, because I didn't have any context around what it actually was. And sure enough, when I went back and researched into my family lineage, there was something that occurred around that time. So that was starting to give me validation. So I have been, so what it interlinks in is very much the systems, curses, what I was talking about, these inversions or satanic energies, however you want to call it, whatever has been kind of hijacked and not inorganic, that has impacted and being hugely detrimental, especially to those who have bloodlines or ancestral lineage of, starseeds or light workers who come here to create change and have been, as we all have been, kind of impacted and challenged to crazy degrees because, there's this counter force back and forth, um, spiritual war that's been playing out. So I feel like that time frame is very much when a lot of the control structures started to implement on this planet to what we're living through today. So I feel like if many of us, like myself and the people that I've been speaking to, are being almost forced to clean that up, to look at it, to face it, to understand it, I just think about the impact of how many people are doing that individually and how that creates a ripple effect of what we're looking into the breakdown of those systems that's occurring right now. So that's a big ancestral sort of clearing that is occurring. Themes could be around abundance, scarcity, poverty, safety. A lot of these system imposed system constructs that have not been for the people, in very, very simple terms. And the final thing that I'll talk about is this energy echoes. Now, I'll probably do a post on this because I'm still acquiring more information of what that actually means. But I'll give you a simple breakdown of how I understand it now. This word energy echoes has been sort of buzzing in my head for about a week now. So when we talk about our own personal energy and cleaning up, energy echoes is something that's in our field, but not necessarily within us. And the best example I can give you is it's within our environments. It's where we spend most of our time. So whether that be your favorite sitting position on the couch, your bed, your shower, where you walk, your walkways, there's energy echoes that occur, especially if you're going through what a lot of us are going through or have been going through, is this like intense releasing and clearing. When we're going through those states of purification, there's an energy residual echo that occurs in the space where you were doing that. So let's say you've been working on cleaning up an ancestral pattern, working through it, however you do that, but you've spent a lot of time ruminating around it, thinking about it, feeling into it in one specific location in your house. You may have gone through the process of clearing that, yet the energy echo is still going to be wherever you've been, processing all that energy. So I spent a lot of time, I was told over the weekend, clear up the energy echo. So I went like a mad woman, clean the house energetically and physically, because I noticed that what I had been working through, I felt clear within myself. But when I went and sat down in a very specific spot, I would feel the energy and the thoughts start to come back. If I moved away from that spot, I was clear. So it's just being really observant. And if you feel guided to clean up the energy echoes, one of the ways that I was shown to do it is to, going back to feeling into that heart space and sort of opening and activating that and pushing your energy out into recreating the energy in your space. So I hope that helps. I hope that I've described that as clear as possible. I laugh at myself. This was going to be a short energy update, and I've been going for quite a while now. So we're going to move into the next part. We're going to go into the intuitive insights for June. There are 3 images, so choose or tune into the one that is most in resonance with you, and we will get going. All right. So first off this will be A. So if you've chosen this one here, this will be the energy of A. So I'm actually just going to tune in. So this is what I've been guided to do. So this is a first. I'm just going to tune into the energy of the group of people who have chosen this one and just see what wants to come through. So I'm going to just read into my body. Okay, so I'm just going to open up the field and feel into. Okay, straight away, the first thing that's come through for this particular one, I'm feeling a sensation that's in the upper part of my stomach. Okay, so this could correlate to many people in different ways, but the first thing that's come through is on a physical level. So being very aware of stomach issues, processing. Yeah, there's two tiers or two layers in particular of things that are moving through the system right now. The first one is mental, a lot of outdated thoughts, a lot of stressful or intrusive thoughts, things that are coming through that are impacting. Well, to say it very simplistically, it's impacting your state of being. It's impacting your accessing peaceful states. So there's this. The way that I'm seeing it is this kind of very intense mental energy that's kind of buffering in and around the field right now. And I do feel like that's purposeful. I don't feel like it's detrimental or an external influence. It feels like it's something that's trying to move out of the space, out of your field. So the remedy that's coming through is just to be able to connect with, it's like a blue energy light. Ah, okay, yeah. That's what it is your higher self or soul essence is trying to reinstall you with the soul knowledge and wisdom that wants to be expressed more as a predominant frequency. But in order for that to happen, this level of clearing needs to come out. So it's being able to acknowledge that that's the process that you're in and working with different tools and techniques that are going to help support you move it out, whether that's just being consciously observing the thoughts or actually practicing writing them out and burning them. So if the negative looping thoughts or old patterns or programs are coming up, what I'm being shown is writing them down in this way or tool of being able to write it down, release it, and burn it, almost purifying it and allowing it to burn away. Because this energy that wants to come through is I'm seeing so much now. There's so much coming through. This is wisdom of the ancestors, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean your biological ancestral lineage. This can also mean on a soul level. There's a lot of beings that surround you that have or are aspects of you, sorry, I've been corrected, aspects of you that want to impart more truth and knowledge to wisdom that you have gained through many lifetimes of experience to help you prep for where you're moving into. There's a new path that's opening up. But before I go into that energy, there is the physical. I want to highlight the physical impacts. We talked about the energetic, the mental, but there is that physical implications of the stomach area. So working with ways that you can help support, nourish your stomach, your digestive system, and I feel like that's going to help strengthen your courage, your personal strength, your confidence, your inspiration, your kind of giving you more personal empowerment to step out more boldly into the world. So you could be looking at doing things like detoxes or cleanse, particularly around improving gut health. And obviously do what you're guided to do. If there's been something in the, niggling in the background that you should do X, Y, and Z, whatever that might be, pay attention to that and give it a go. So this increasing clearing the physical aspect of the stomach is going to help the energetics and the mental. that's going to help flush through and to work with this purification. Um, mm. So going back to that energy that I was seeing, that blue, sort of very pale, light blue energy that to me is like almost what some people call like the Akashic records, or it's the access to the soul memory, and it perhaps is part of like a soul um, retrieval, or those aspects of you coming back to you, and as those energetic fragments come back in, it's almost like they want to drop into that part of the stomach. So it's in between, it's the upper part of the stomach. So I would say it's in between the solar plexus and heart. It's kind of sitting there, right in the center of the lower chest. There's seven, eight, nine. It's showing me like a sphere of like pieces of the pie coming in to create wholeness, to create unity. And I feel like I almost want to say that this is not something, this is something that you're already aware of to some, on some level. This is something that is being either highlighted to you through a reading, through someone else sharing it with you, through a dream, some form. This has been relayed to you. This part of almost like retrieving soul aspects and bringing it back into unity. With that, I feel like you're going to tap into spiritual wisdom, but abilities and gifts, things that you've mastered over many lifetimes that is going to enable you to step forward. So as I said that, I'm going back to what was coming through initially was this pathway that's very unexpected pathway that is going to be burst wide open over the coming few months. So it's really important that you do this preparation and cleanup right now in this very specific aspect, because I feel like there's this being catapulted into an unknown path that is, oh, that gives me chills, that that you haven't foreseen or felt into. It feels like it's something that I want to say catches you off guard, because it feels like it's something that you pick up and run with, that you're very capable of, something that you're born or destined to do. Uh, mm, yeah, the words that are coming through is like finally being able to showcase who you are and what you're capable of doing in very sort of, it feels like very big, expansive ways that may even surprise yourself and those around you. I'm just going to say, I'm not getting specifics because I feel like that's going to be or show up differently for anyone who's watching this particular read. But the importance that's coming back around is in order to do this preparation so that you don't let this opportunity pass you by, that you feel fully prepared and ready, that you feel confident to step out. It's like I'm seeing now the tarot card of the Fool, stepping out on the unknown path and taking that leap of faith so that you can actualize your, what, who you are and what you're here to bring, which is, oh, yeah, that feels beautiful. Hmm. I'll just see if there's anything else that wants to, yeah. Right. Okay. So this is in relation to communication, expression, speaking your truth, speaking up. Perhaps what's coming in is maybe you've never had the courage to speak your personal truth, speak about your own experiences, what it is that you know, but this is what part of this opportunity or opening pathway is fully representing. So hence the blue, all about being in the alignment of your own personal truth and being able to express that clearly, simplistically, um, and being a channel of higher frequencies in the process or in the art of doing this expression. This could be writing, it could be artwork, it could be like a podcast, it could be having a platform. But whatever it is, it feels very unique. It feels very different. It is not within the parameters of what is already existing out there. This is next tier, next level of, you know, um, this step up that we're all moving or being asked to move into. So it's doing things in different ways, that's not out there already. So this is going to require you to trust in your own intuition. It's going to require you to really tune into your own, the way that you access information that comes through, and to, yeah, trust how to execute that and put that out into the world. And yeah, be really pleasantly surprised in how that unfolds and unravels. For some people, this is very specific, but I see screenwriting. So writing whether it's screenplays or movies, writing lyrics or music. I feel like that may just be coming through for you to start the process of, that will take off, later down the track. But it's like scribing, a lot of scribing. Mm. Yeah, being the scribe. Yeah, for someone, I almost get this vision of during like pre-Christianity and during those eras on earth, and the people who would be the scribers, the prophets or the seers, and then they would scribe down a lot of information. And so maybe tapping into that wisdom of that aspect of you that perhaps did that once, but in a different way, because I don't feel like it's writing prophecies, because I feel like we're living through. But it's like maybe it's a guide, it's a mapping for people to like, I don't want to say guidelines, that feels incoherent, that word, but um yeah, a mapping that gives people um, pathways that they can kind of move through whatever they're going through, if they're kind of newly awakening or coming into these concepts quite abruptly or rapidly. It's kind of giving framework. That's the word. That's probably a better word. Framework to navigate and to be able to move through. Oh, okay. That feels wow, exciting. I'm going to now move into just pulling a couple of cards to see what else wants to come through for reading A in this way. Oof, okay. We have the Star. Oh, we have Pause and Observation, and we have Three of Cups, Celebration. All right, so we have the Star card. I love that. Hope and inspiration. Um, and just to me, that's just so much of illumination, inspiration, heart centered, being a divine channel and being led by, could be by the stars, galactic beings, star beings, star family, if that's something that resonates with you. But it feels like there's a lot of freedom, there's a lot of expansion, a lot of movement that's happening. And I almost feel like there could be changes in geographical location or travel that could be involved, maybe not straight away, but there feels like through this expansion or expression or new pathway that's opening up, it feels like there's a lot of movement. It could just be movement in your life, being really busy, but it could be actually traveling abroad or traveling to new horizons, new places, or just maybe just traveling into new reality, perhaps. It'll, um, yeah, reigniting with a new sense of optimism, reconnecting with things from your past, in terms of perhaps intuitive messages or prophetic visions or downloads of things that you may have seen, even going back as young as being a young child, that you felt into or foresaw that was a part of your path that you potentially may have dismissed, and being able to reignite with that to give a newfound sense of optimism, hope, expansion within yourself, something that inspires you, something that you jump out of bed every day and want to work intensely towards. So yeah, okay. We also have the Nine of Wands, which is like a completion. I'll show you that card there. Got a lot of red, um, green, white. Is that green or blue? It's kind of teal. No, it's in between. Um, so pause, observation. What comes through with that is allow the energies to settle of what comes through, to observe them, to be in the moment with them, to relish in what's coming through and be the embodiment of the energy and the downloads and what's opening up. So it may be, even though you may feel an initial jump or call to action, actually, I'm going to put that back up there. You may feel an initial jump or call to action. This card is saying, be in the flow, be in the moment, allow it to unravel, unfold, and just respect the timing of it, because you human may get overly excited and want to sort of jump the gun, but it's like when you come back into that space of flow, you'll know when the time is to be in that energy and in the inspiration, embodying it, and then when there's time to action. So just being in the natural flow and cycles and rhythms, I think, is important with that as it unravels. We have the Three of Cups, so celebration. So this to me feels like I want to say with this card, this feels like a celebration of being with the people that you love the most. So it might be that there is a linking of you and another, whether it's a relationship, companionship, divine counterpart. It doesn't necessarily feel like that's true for everyone, because it actually feels like multiple people coming in at the same frequency. And the celebration feels like not so much like celebrating birth. I mean, it could be, but it feels like it's celebrating that we've achieved or we've got to this point. And so this feels like shared experiences, fun times, whether that's in person or, through, phone conversation, internet, whatever, because it feels like it's drawing in people from different pockets, I would say, around the world. It feels kind of global and expanding, like expansive, to celebrate in, like, all I want to say is celebrate that, yay, we got there. We've got to this point. We knew this point was coming. Now we get to relish in the fact that we're on the same wavelength. We've gone through many experiences. Now we're at this point where we can join together to support each other or work together, creating, projects or just amplifying energies. Could be both. There's so much in this. So I know that there's quite a general thing, but please take it as it relates to your resonates, or let it to spark in your consciousness sort of an activation of what wants to be known to you to come through if this resonates. Just seeing if there's anything else. Emotional fulfillment in terms of celebration, like almost I get with that, like tears of joy, feeling incredibly blessed, grateful that you've come this far, being able to reflect back um, on the path and see like how proud of yourself you are that you've come this far to get to this point, and really tapping into a lot of creative energies as well. Feels. Ooh, okay. I'm just going to pull a couple more cards until we move into the next. So we have Universal Christ. Any. Nothing wants to come out. All right, Universal Christ. Let's read into that card first. So I'll just show you that one there. So a lot of blue, almost indigo colors. So I feel that is a lot of going back to us about the throat, the expression, but it's inspired. It's driven by pure inspiration, Christ consciousness energy. It's divine. It's being. Uh, this might be very specific. Being the voice for your generation, or being the voice that will be heard, that will be the advocate to speak for many. And whether that's just you individually in what you're moving forward into, or if that is, um, as a part of a team. But it's an illumination here, so potentially a lot of activations within the third eye to be able to see clearly, see the path really clearly. A lot of precision, and there's a lot of calmness, like depth of wisdom activations coming through the eyes. So it feels like a lot of very, very potent energies around this one. And I still can't get another card to pull out. Let's see. Come on, one more card. One more card. Okay, we've got, oh, okay, two. All right. Interesting. So there may be themes around divine connection or divine counterparts here, because the last two cards that have come out together is the beloved and the lovers card. So I will show. So this could potentially mean very different things. This can be a unification within yourself, which creates that kind of expanded energy and essence of your own balanced masculine and feminine that creates that charge. It's a potency. It's almost like eruption energy. That's how I'm feeling it. It's like the two parts coming together and it creates this activation or kaboom. I didn't mention this in the energy update, but I have been getting a lot of insights around sacred partnerships and June being a really pivotal month for some, of kind of coming together, whether that's energetically unifying or physically reigniting, but it feels like this sort of kaboom phase. And that takes me back to, I won't go into it too much, but that comes back to 2017 of some of the downloads that I got about the grid system completing and how people who participate in sacred relationships were working on completing that phase. So sort of a side note there, but it could be just the relationship with yourself and going next level. So take it how it applies to you. It's adoring yourself, or adoring yourself and seeing yourself in a whole new light and perspective, seeing you as the true divine essence of who you are, and not the false layers of illusion that you may have seen yourself in the past. And this feels like it changes everything, because it's a perception shift of self and then a reality shift. And it's this love frequency, however that comes, whether it's through another or through yourself, is getting you into your heart space. And it's activating something that's really ancient, really has been perhaps quite dormant, never been experienced before, or only fleeting, hasn't been fully actualized. So there's this, I just want to say, just to wrap it up, it feels like there's a huge amount of support that's surrounding you, that's coming through, that's already existing, but it's coming through for you to feel and access more strongly for the month of June and beyond. And it's incredibly, yeah, it's powerful. It's I'm gonna say it's unlike anything you've witnessed or experienced thus far. So I'm gonna leave it there. I hope that that has sparked or ignited something for you. I hope that has helped. And I am going to have a sip of water and then going to move into card B. So I'm going to take that down. So B is this one here. So if you've chosen card B, or artwork B, I should say. All right, so I'm just going to clear the energies of the last reading and just start to tune into, just give me a second so I can just start to tune into this group. So what I do initially is I tune into my body to see where, oh, throat. I tune into my body just to see or get um, the impression of where the energy is circulating within my body. And from there, that's where I sort of move into. Okay, so there's two parts that I'm feeling into my body. So take this as energetic or physical. The first part is in the middle of the back to the lower back. So just energy center wise, it would be the root or the base going up through the spine to the center of the back. So just below this, yeah, it's just below the solar plexus. So it's that passageway that feels like that's obstructed. It feels compressed. It feels like, and this can show up in a couple of different ways. This could be lower back pain, putting your back out, having tenderness or soreness there. And I can feel it going up into the back of the heart too. So this is all energy that feels like stuck or contorted. That is, the image that I'm getting is like kind of being like wrung out or like squeezed. And it feels like it doesn't have a lot of flow, which I feel like is throwing out or putting off kilter balance potentially, or just general energy flow throughout the body. Because I feel, yeah, I'm moving. I feel like there's, it could be as simple as being able to move this energy through walking, physical movement, activities like yoga, dancing, just sort of move. The body wants to move and it feels quite constricted. So it feels like that part in the energy column. I'm just looking at it now. I feel like it is, or there is a level of awareness of how it's physically manifested, which is, I always say that's a good thing. If it's physically manifested, then it's at its most loudest, so that it wants to be acknowledged, so it can be healed or transformed, cleared. Um, to me, that feels like it's on a very, very deep cellular level. So it's probably accompanying this physical sensation with some very old, outdated fears. Um, I feel like I'm tapping into a lot of past life energy, or that's where it is originated from. So you might benefit from doing uh, guided meditations or clearings around like accessing or clearing past timelines. that go into past life. Oh yeah, I can see as I can. This might just be for one person, but I'm seeing really intense visuals of like knights and Templars, dark caves, like um, this kind of energy or feeling of being prosecuted, being imprisoned, feeling, yeah, that the intense, I almost want to say the intense pressure of fear of speaking what you know or being who you truly are. This feels like that's really um, it's a constrictive energy that wants to be released so that you can move into being in a very opposite or very different energy. Mm. So what, honey, I'm just asking, what's the best thing to help clear it? Well, obviously movement, moving that energy in the body. You might do very specific energy clearing around just breath work, is what I'm being shown to keep it simple. So breathing into the root or the base and like through the breath, almost releasing out through the breath anything that is stored, at least on an energetic level, like releasing through that and bringing in new energy in this kind of like, mm, this kind of almost cyclical, yeah, being able to let the energy flow and the physical aspect to support the body to get moving, do yoga poses or stretches, things that are going to like, because I almost or see a practitioner potentially if that's something that you feel called to doing, but it almost feels like just by doing stretches or movement, it's almost like there's a crack or a pop that helps just, and then there's this big release. So this could be a physical issue that has been long standing that wants to be wrapped up and to be able to finally heal. And part of that is getting to the root cause, being able to clear that energy that has where it originally came from, which I feel stems back to this energy around being persecuted or imprisoned or just in general being squashed, being pushed down, being um, tamed or not being allowed to be the full expression of yourself. Ooh, that feels quite feels quite heavy. Hmm, what what I'm hearing is don't allow this to get the better of you. Don't allow it to get you down because you can go through a very rapid or quick transformation because it's got to that point. So instead of focusing on the intensity of what you may be going through on a personal level or physical level, um, seek for the remedy, seek for the solution, ask and keep your focus on asking ways that you can support yourself to move through this transition. And almost like I get this imagery of like connecting with the future version of yourself to directly correlate information back if that's something that you have the capacity to do. We all do, but you know, just being setting the intention of being able to bring forward the wiser or future version of yourself to ask, or just setting that intention, ask what is the pathway and what are the things I can do to support myself to overcome this, and why is it occurring? I think that's an important inquiry. So just going back to what I was saying, you know, to keep it really simple, if you just set the intention to connect with that wiser version of yourself, to seek clarity of how to overcome that, that can come through just in a subtle dream or thought form, or someone will show up and, you know, give you a gem, a pearl of wisdom that will be the answer. So always asking the questions and observing, allowing the answers to come back to you. There was something else that I was tuning into in the beginning. Mm. Something up in and around the head, specifically the ears. Uh, it's almost like there's a tone, a pitch, a very loud. I'm not hearing it, I'm kind of perceiving it. So it feels like there's an attuning that's happening up in the head. It's like this energy that goes back and forward from ear to ear. And I almost feel like that potentially isn't an attuning or a stabilization of being able to hear better. Could be physically, I feel it's more metaphorically, to be able to hear the guidance coming through with crystal clarity and knowing what's what. Because it feels like what is attuning or clearing out is potentially what could have been interference or lower states of consciousness, um, monkey mind, rat race, that part of the mind is being cleared or neutralized out so that there's this level of attunement to be able to hear clairaudiently, very, very clear. So that's part of the um, getting the guidance and the information of how to navigate through to support your body and support this cleanup that's occurring energetically. And putting it to bed, what I'm hearing is putting it to rest or putting it to bed for good. That's very, very important. Okay. Why is this occurring? It's so simple to be the best version that you possibly can be, to withstand whatever you face without being wavered or your faith being wavered. What has come through when that message came through was I was seeing a pink rose or red rose, like fully in bloom. So I'm not sure what that symbolizes or represents, but it's maybe opening, like allowing yourself to unfold and bloom and blossom and open into a state of love. Mm. Oh, I'm getting all this symbology, which I'm not sure how to. I'm seeing bluebird. So this may just be for individual people, but I'm seeing a bluebird. So to me, the bluebird is all about communication, and um, it could be connected to the ear and the tuning, but being able to um, hear the angelic realm or hear the higher dimensional realms with yeah, being a pure channel with crisp, almost attuning like a radio frequency to be able to hear into whether that's higher dimensional beings or aspects of self. But there's and this is really cryptic. There's a frequency that's being emitted that is specific for you to attune to. Mm. It's like a broadcasting system that only you can pick up on or very specific people can pick up on. It feels like this is moving into a whole new world of experiences for you that feel quite supernatural. I want to use it that word, spiritual. Um, and it has this feeling or sensation to it that it is playful, it's joyful, it's like a kid who's discovered something like a new game or a new like you know it feels like it happens at nighttime. So yeah, it does have almost this very galactic tone to it because I associate a lot of galactic contact that occurs in the wee hours of the morning or in the nighttime. But it's like, yeah, it's like there's this emitting of frequency from a place that feels a place that feels familiar to you. So coming from home, home planet, home dimension, soul family that aren't incarnate, that feels like there's you're being attuned to be able to hear into that space and to receive a lot of, it feels like very personal information. It's almost like a dialogue of a narration in your head that is guiding you and allowing you, yeah, it's guiding you, but it's also awakening you to remember who you truly are and what you came here to do. So this may be really like, I feel like for some people this will be a very, very new experience. You may never have had any sort of very tangible spiritual experiences like this before, and this is like a moving into a new, very new experience, but it's not, it's comfortable, it feels familiar, it was always designed to be this way. I just want to feel into that a little bit more, but it feels like it's giving a lot of very, yeah, it's very specific information for you personally, how to heal yourself, how to express yourself, how to be in, okay, how to operate in this world in the best way that you can, and to overcome struggles and challenges that you face since a child so that they are no longer issues for you. You can have the freedom that you've always deeply longed and desired to have in terms of just being able to operate, mm, and less impacted as a sensitive soul in a harsh world. This is helping navigate the changes that are happening on the planet, like the energetic changes. So I feel like with that, there's probably an attuning of your own sensitivity, but it's like almost in a reverse. And what I mean by that, it's like, instead of becoming more uncomfortable, it's becoming more comfortable as an emanation of light that expands from you, that allows you to, it's like being freed up to be who you are, to express, to be accepted. What comes through with that? That's really interesting. This has sparked a memory of mine of something that came through in a session that I did, quite some years ago, personal session. And it was like, the message was that we're moving into times where those who have been quirky or strange or different will truly be loved and accepted and appreciated and celebrated for their uniqueness and quirkiness. So that sort of comes in. I don't know if that, yeah, it feels like, hmm, this feels deeply personal, internal, profound internal changes, seeing yourself in a new light and in a new way of being, new reflections. Um, hmm, no, I just keep hearing, hold on to your, hold on to your hat. It's going to be accelerated rate, accelerated pace and time. There was something more that I was tuning into. No, it's just dropped away. Yeah, I feel like this may be an enhancing of contact. For some, it could be benevolent galactic beings or higher dimensional, however that comes through. Could just be contact with your higher self, of making that presence felt or more known to you in your life. Oh, that's what I was going to say before. It's like the things that you haven't liked necessarily about yourself that you have thought were defaults or defects are actually the things that will be the most celebrated within yourself. And that's part of the perception shift. As that perception shifts within you, other others respond and react differently to you. Those who are in your, loved ones, environment, family, friends. So I'm just going to start to pull in some cards. What else wants to come through? So we've got tradition. We have the Nine of Swords. Get a couple more. Yeah, okay. I feel like there's a lot of childhood reflective piece that's coming up, or healing childhood wounds. Um, yeah, inner child feels quite pronounced, but there's so much, and I can't emphasize this enough, there is so much profound healing and wisdom that comes through this connecting with your own inner child, or earlier versions of yourself. To like, I always see that as like inner child healing is like Russian dolls, and it's like incorporating those yeah, it's like a soul retrieval of sorts. It's like as we connect with those um aspects that have perhaps fractaled off, reclaiming them, bringing them back to us, this kind of Russian doll, the smaller versions of us that come back into play. But we have the tradition. So there's this like reflection, nostalgia, going back into past. That part to me, going into accompanying what I said about the childhood, inner child healing aspect, but it feels like it's seeing your childhood from a different perspective. So it may very much be with this contact and being attuned to this frequency, and information that's coming through, that may be able to, actually, I feel that quite certain that very much is going to be redirecting you to look back into your past to see things quite differently. Perhaps see that you've always had this contact, or experiences that you may have pushed aside, but they're now ready for the picking to come back into the forefront of your mind, so that you can um, corroborate or bring forward all the pieces of the puzzle information to kind of get this streamline, almost storyboard of your life, to be able to see it from this point to here, and having this profound aha moment of seeing all the dots join up and realize why things had to play out the way they did up until this point. And that comes in with the Nine of Swords, so the stress and anxiety. I feel like that card, in relation to what I was saying, is very much being able to let go of the stress or the anxious version of yourself. You may have been someone who's highly sensitive all your life, not really understood the depth of why. And it's like shedding those layers of what you've pulled in or absorbed, maybe being highly attuned or empathic. So it's like, feels like there's a new energy body that's emerging through this process that allows you to shed layers that have been this energy of that have come, through. I'm going to share with you um, something that has just dropped into my awareness, that it's a concept that I was introduced to a couple of years ago, that some who are a part of for lack of a better word, a star seed, that are connected to a race or a group of beings that are their family on a soul level. And some of us, not all have incarnated, but we're the ones that have chosen to incarnate. Often we are like data collectors, but down here. And how it was shown to me was like we are empathically attuned and absorb our environment, our situation, and energies almost as we relay data and information to a source or a data central bank, whether that's on a ship or, in higher levels of consciousness, however you want to see that or view that. But it's like we are the observers, or we absorb and observe what is taking place down here very intensely in our bodies, and it's like we give that energy back over, so it helps support the bigger plan playing out. It's almost like this particular energy is very dominant right now, so we need a remedy, or we need something that's going to come in to help counterbalance that. And so it's like we relay data and information so that more support can come into what we're experiencing on boots on the ground level. Sorry, that was a bit, I went onto a tangent there, but um, that's what comes to mind is like shedding those layers of maybe wrapping up that part of your soul path or mission, if that has been the case for you or that resonates. But it's the Nine of Swords, so ending cycle completion. The swords is very much around mental conflict, stress, anxiety. So it feels like that is being given the opportunity to shed, and that's what is being presented for you. And we've got the Eight of Cups, yeah, contemplation, which very much a similar message to the tradition and the reflection, the nostalgia card. There is this kind of, I want to call it like this process of smoothing out timelines, because that's what it feels to me. It feels like beginning of this incarnation, childhood, up until where you are now, there's this smoothing out or fine tuning of the timeline or the path that you've walked, so that the little nuances, the traumas that have been endured, the unpleasant circumstances and situations can be healed and streamlined, so that it's almost like showing me like this kink in a hose, that where there has been energy leakages throughout your life, you're suffering as a consequence, or have been, I'll say have been up until this point, because there's all these kinks in the hose of your life's timeline or trajectory that hasn't given you the full force of the energy life force that you originally came in with. And I feel like that's just getting to what's occurring within you, is this restoration of your own unique energy signature, your natural organic frequency. And it's almost reverting back to you know, the energy that you held as a child coming in, knowing that you were coming in to do great things and to have this experience. But it's like reclaiming all the energy that has been a bit like I was saying in the beginning, the kink in the hose and the energy column. It's like unkinking, unhooking the things that have leaked energy that um, no longer play a role in your life. They're no longer relevant. They're no longer to impact you detrimentally, because there's a restoration of, yeah, life force energy. Hmm. Wow. So, oh, okay. So just we've got the messenger card here. I love this card. One of my favorite in the deck. All right. So I've just looked, it's 144 as I'm recording this now. So that number might be significant for you, the messenger, 144. We have intimacy. Oh, this reading is taking a bit of a twist and a turn now. So maybe that what has been shared already is like the process of transformation, and this is like what's coming through. Yeah, cool. Awesome. The resurrection. Restoration of light. I'll show that one. We've got the resurrection. We have intimacy and the messenger, which I showed, but I'll show that one again. Messenger. I'm going to read them backwards, just in the way that they've come out. The resurrection is just following on from what I was talking about, this resurgence of life force energy coming back in. It feels like it sparks in the heart and emanates outward. And it's this like reclaiming of all these aspects of you, especially around sort of childhood, adolescence, and what was like, the words like what has been highly disturbing to you about maybe personal experiences or what you've witnessed in the world that is not of you, and where those energies have been scattered. But it's like all these all these pieces of light and emanation coming back into you, because it feels like it's a completion of a part of a soul mission of it's a completion of an aspect of your path that potentially felt like you weren't doing anything on a physical level, but there was a lot that was happening multidimensionally and energetically that you may not have been somewhat aware of until this point. And that's coming into the information coming through in this attuning and this clairaudient direct dialogue. So being shown what it is that you have been doing for a very long time, because it's completing now, you can be privy to that information, which is going to set you out on into this new trajectory with that is that is coming into play. There was a lot of words that were kind of trying to come through. No, coming into play. So we have the intimacy card here. So the intimacy card talks about vulnerability and being really open and honest and vulnerable with yourself, accepting the parts of yourself that perhaps you have hidden or shied away or not wanted to show to people because you have felt or held shame around, felt that were unlovable for many, many reasons. But it's like this holding back of the pure parts of you that are the most precious parts of you, I should say, that make you who you truly are, uniquely who you truly are. And it's like wearing these facades or masks or trying to fit in and not showing your brilliance, your quirkiness, your uniqueness. And so it's like breaking down those masks and being really content with who you are and all the components, all the facets of you and your experiences in life, that's leading you or gearing you to being able to see that in your external reflection of your reality. So this could come in many ways. This could just be a deepening of existing relationship. It could be a significant relationship, or relationships that you have in your life. It could be changing the dynamics within your interpersonal relationships. It also could be opening segue for new relationships or a significant one to open up. I think traditionally in this card, it does talk about a significant relationship blooming and prospering through this rawness, this open, this vulnerability. And it's like you're being asked to step forward and do that first so that you can create a safe space for that special person in your life or the people in your life to follow suit and be open and vulnerable, which creates a deeper bond. It creates more profound connection, love, honesty, integrity, and all those types of things. So really quite beautiful. And then we've got this card here, which is the messenger. The messenger is about the one who has a message to share to the world. This one also talks about potential travel overseas, travel over water, or your message reaching far and wide because of the unique message that you have to give or share. This card also talks about feeling initially that it's beyond your capabilities or that it's not for you, but trusting this sort of divine, your own divine destiny, that is, it wouldn't show up if it wasn't, part of your path. So it's about speaking, potentially just based off this reading, it could be sharing what you've learned about your own profound sense of self and personal transformation. It could be sharing that through writing, through books, so many different mediums. But it feels like once you have come into this place of actualization of this very big life-changing sequence of events that is occurring in your life, there's this part on the path that will come into play where you're being asked to share that. And that just might just be with one other person, or it could be with many. I feel like it's probably more than just one person, but it's like everything that you have understood, gone through, shared, the highs, the lows, it's important to share because it's going to spark and help a lot of other people who may have had very similar experiences. So it's a very much a sharing to help facilitate a transformation within others, and healing space. I actually see quite specifically youth work as I was saying that. So it could be working with youth. Um, and I'm seeing like summer camps or that sort of environment. So it might be called to doing sort of work in, yeah, youth, in groups, in it doesn't, it feels like it's temporary jobs and roles, but yeah, there may be, I guess what I want to say just to wrap that up, it feels like there's potentially opportunities for you to that will come into play that will give you the opportunity to share what you have, the message that you have. So I'm going to leave that with you. I hope just wow, you have a beautiful June, and I hope that that supports you in some way. Okay, we're going to get to lucky last. So I'll just drop that one down. So this one here, this is card artwork C. So lucky last, if you have chosen that one, actually, I'm just going to hold it for a second so that I can start to tune in. Just gonna once again take a sip of water, just clear out the energies from the last card so that I can get a clear read on this one. So once again, if you're just tuning in, I'm just doing a slightly different variation on how I do the intuitive reading. So I'm just doing pure, I guess, channeled intuitive information based on reading the energetic group that have tuned into this card and then going into the cards themselves. So just going to start off with what's coming through here. I can feel the energy that's kind of swirling and surging from the chest up into the throat. And the first things that are coming through is this is very much based around finances, abundance, because I can see a lot of gold and green, so like notes or gold. So there's a change that's occurring within personal circumstances. I would say finances, but I would say abundance because I don't feel like it's just material wealth. It feels like there's a flicking in the experience, but it starts off with a perception or energy shift first. So I'm just going to go into that feeling of sensation that sits in the heart. Mm. Yeah, okay. So what wants to come through is like a emptying out, working through breath work or energy work, specifically sound, chimes. Like I'm hearing gongs or like chimes. What are those bells, the Tibetan bells, singing bowls, things like that? Working with sound therapy. I'm going to pop that back up there. Working with sound therapy, I think, will be quite beneficial, even if it's just finding something on YouTube that has those frequencies, or working with the 528 hertz to look at opening and expanding your heart space. Mm. Yeah, okay. Oh, this so yeah, okay. So first and foremost, that's the most pronounced energy that wants to um it's like this space wants to widen and open up. It feels like there's this uh um mm, kind of wants to burst or blast wide open, but it feels like there's whatever has been laying dormant or stagnant in there wants to be consciously worked with so that it can clear and create space. But also, I feel like a twinge in my lower back. So yeah, this is just how I read energy and how I interpret it is what's happening or what's blocked, what's not moving through the energy field, and it feels like it's a creativity block. That's yeah, it's oh, it feels really sharp in the lower back, not right at the base, but just up a little bit. Is this it almost feels like there is a attachment there or an energy that is foreign, so it may require like removal, um, and do some sort of clearing based around. And you can do this even if you've never worked with energy before. I try and keep it really simple. Um, Tune into the body, tune into the sensation, tune into the energy, and with the focus on like being able to disconnect it or unplug it or pull it out of the field, and then just kind of to clear it, whether it's through a portal or dissolve it in light. I work a lot with light and color, but this feels like there's something that's attached or connected into. Um, this ties into this abundance because it feels like it's very much it's a creativity block. It's a block in terms of life force energy, and it feels like it's connected potentially ancestrally to your mother's lineage, ancestral lineage. And I keep seeing like very olden day images of like women wearing the is it early 1900s, like wearing the dresses, and it feels like it's something around, or I'll just describe what I'm seeing because I'm seeing a woman, a mother with a pram, and there's this storyline that's playing out that there's this very wealthy mm, affluent family, and then there's like it's like the Great Depression. It's this energy echo that's been throughout humanity and probably impacted many of us, if not most of us. There's this living the high life, and then all of a sudden, well, it makes sense. What are we living through right now? um, and then this demise of not just finances and abundance, but then it goes from like extra. It's going from extremes, so abundant to then impoverished and not being able to take care of children, family. This kind of imposed restriction because of external circumstances and things being kind of pulled away. So it feels like that's like what I'm reading into this storyline or narrative is very much like a block in the ancestral lineage, which I think is probably a storyline that runs for most of us. But that's what wants to be pulled out or unplugged from the energy field so that it's no longer impacting you. Because what is really coming through that wants to be encouraged is you are the master and creator through your own creativity. You create your reality, your abundance, your lifestyle, you're here to create. Is like this master creator energy that wants to flow through. Funnily enough, I just realized the color of this artwork, so it's very like heart and sacral. So it's you are the master creator, and what you're being or what wants to come through of being asked of you is to deeply, first of all, work with what wants to be disconnected, unplugged, work through the ancestral lineage in the best way you can, whether that's through your own process or seeking the support of a practitioner. It may be family constellation therapy or energy work, whatever, or just working with the sound frequencies at home and just making that your focus point to release whatever bondages or restrictions or restrictive energies that are still in the DNA kind of cellular level to be able to let that go. And it's kind of this, almost as that happens, I feel like there's this um, freedom, this release, this incredibly profound healing that ripples through the family, your current family. So this could be, impacting your children or your siblings or your parents. Those around you benefit from you having this very breakthrough moment. Mm. And so from that point, it's then being able to create space for you to then go and tap into your creative power, becoming the masterful artist in your own unique art form, and that can take on many different mm, expressions. Whether it's cooking, painting, um, writing, singing. It's just working with creative energy that is what is going to come into highlight for you. Perhaps it's accessing new abilities and skills or refining them to the next level that is going to create this opening for a more abundant, pros- prosperous, expanded version of where you're heading into the future. Sorry, there's a lot of things that's trying to drop in all at once. Go if you want support in clearing. I uploaded a guided energy technique audio meditation around abundance a couple of weeks ago. That is a really good place to start if you don't know where to start. So that as a side note to help sort of clear and bring in. But it's I want to go back to this. It's innovative, it's evolutionary, it's tapping into higher consciousness ways that are going to help to start to build a new earth. It's these inventions, it's these creative things that are opening up for you to access to then be able to actualize in your life. Mm. I just keep seeing like Nikola Tesla, so it could be even working with, energies or technologies, healing technologies. Um, it's something that will want to be widely accessed or used, that you have the capacity to build, work with, or band together with people to work on a project with. But it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's uniquely your own invention that wants to be. Mm. Mm. Yeah, it's uniquely your own invention or creativity, expression. It could be starting a new, business or project. I'm not going to go into there's no specifics that are coming through because I feel like it is something that hasn't been um, thought of before. And what I'm seeing with that is that whole concept of when new inventions, and I truly believe that we're in the age of this right now, when there's new inventions or creations that want to come in that is going to help benefit humanity and society as a whole. Often it comes through in, like, I see it as like orbs or spheres of like code or information that kind of comes into the atmosphere. And it's those who have their antennas attuned that can access it and pull it down and actualize it. And I feel like in those times, a lot of people can access it at the same very moment. And I think the reason that that has been done in the past is because not everyone actualizes it. So it's like making sure that these inventions do come through. And we've seen that, that a lot of people at the same time have the same invention, and then people fight over it was my idea, you stole it. No, they all received the divine code or inspiration. And I'm just seeing that image or that concept coming in, but this is not the same. This is very uniquely your own. I'm actually seeing like maps, like it's your divine blueprint. It's your destiny. I'm seeing like maps, architectural maps, but I feel like that's a blueprint. But I also, what I was getting with that is this is something that is potentially being able to be revealed to you through dream state or accessing deep transcendental states of meditation. So either way, whatever works for you, but just holding that focus and intention and being able to access it's like bringing down a template and working with that. And it's almost like I see a lot of very strange mathematical equations, or it could be geometry, it could be writing that's coming through with that. But it has the potential to positively impact and change society in some way. And it's the what's coming through is it's like as we go through these transitional phases of this year and beyond, it's those who prosper through those times who have heart-centered uniqueness about them that want to offer their gifts, their creativity, because it comes from a pure intention space and it will prosper immensely for you. So whatever that is, I mean, there's so many facets of that. And I truly believe that that's how many of us are recreating the new world is through our creativity. So I think many of us will be doing this in our own pathways and what comes natural to us. I'm going to have a look into the cards to see what else wants to come through. Cool. So we've got change, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Someone, animals and pets are going to play an important role. So whether that's working with energy or healing technologies or like creating diet or food for these evolving beloved fur babies that just sort of dropped in as a possibility. But I guess there's so many, I couldn't possibly go through them all. So I'd be curious to hear in the comments section if you know what this is, or you may not want to share it, but even if you do know what it is and say, yep, I understand completely, because I'm curious, very, very curious. Oh, all right. So, all right. I'm going to go. So we have the 5 of coins, so budget lessons. I'm just going to pick that one up and show you first. So this to me talks about 5 being the halfway point or tipping over into the second part of a cycle. And so we know that the first part of the cycle is all about learning and laying down foundations. And we get to the 5, which is the fast paced change and expansion. So when it comes to the coins, money, budget lessons, I feel like this is almost throwing caution to the wind is the word that wants to come through, and being like throwing out. It's throwing out or moving away from how you have operated in relation to resources or finances, where you may have been very strategic in their spreadsheets and budgeting and like how you have worked with that in a very more limited capacity or mindset. This is creating change. So this is saying work on the healing, the patterns, releasing the past. The change is release the past. I think if I'm not mistaken, I feel like that is the Tower card in the traditional. I could be wrong. Um, but it's giving you the opportunity right now to spread your wings and soar by looking at where there are patterns that are held in the body or in your energy and how you can really release them, relinquish them, um, put them to bed, to rest for good, and to be able to, come into that next phase of your cycle, of your journey, which is beautiful because then we have the Wheel of Fortune, the change and action card, which indicates a positive change coming in and on the horizon. I remember when I originally learned how to read tarot, one of the times, um, the how it was taught to me originally, and I probably haven't thought about this since that time, was moving into whatever has been the greatest challenge for you in the previous cycle or the first half of the cycle, then becomes the pearl of wisdom of what you've mastered on a like self-mastery level. Whatever was the hardest part then becomes the easier part that you can implement because you've learned all those hard lessons. So it's like culminating whatever wisdom that you've taken from maybe harsher experiences in the past, going through that process of change and letting go, unplugging, disconnecting, however that looks for you, to be able to move into this new cycle, moving into a new phase, moving into more prosperous times, um, to be able to work towards this invention, this creation. We have the Two of Wands, so I think that's perfectly put, your own power. Now, and when I look at that card, I just see like this powering up, bringing two aspects of you together. So, yeah, instantly what's come to mind for me is like not fully disregarding like the past. It's taking the wisdom that was learnt from that to be able to bring in this new aspect of you and blend them together. It's a merging of two aspects, one that has had probably the harder journey, the harder path, the challenges, the obstacles, the one who now is moving into smoother times where things are more in flow and more harmonious. But it's like bridging the gap and becoming whole with both aspects of yourself in that regard, which creates this emanation of real personal power, embodiment. It's also, lived embodied wisdom that you get to take forward in, and that's the output that you put into your creation. Your energy, your frequency speaks to the vibration of what you have gone through and where you're at now, so that you have this kind of catchment of relatability to those who seek out your work, your creative artistic output of however that looks, because it feels like there's a frequency catchment. I'm going out there, but this is just how it's coming through, that aligns vibrationally to those who will be in benefit of what you're creating. So that's actually really quite beautiful. And let's just get a couple more cards just to finish off. I thoroughly enjoyed this way of doing it, so I'd love to hear from you if you've enjoyed this new format. It may change again next month. I don't know. I just kind of do as I am asked to do. In the moment, it's constantly changing, right? Constantly changing. Okay, heart and soul. It's a very feminine energy. Mary, Magdalene. Interesting. Okay, we've got a lot of feminine cards here, which kind of speaks to the ancestral lineage of like the clearing and the healing, or working on healing and clearing your own feminine energy, perhaps, or combination of both. And also taps in, that's where I believe that our we access our full life force energy and creativity is through that, sacral center, that feminine energy that we all have. So we've got the heart and soul first. We have revelation. There we go. And we also have the Gaia card here. So just to give a breakdown, the heart and soul, for me, what comes through is emerging heart and soul mind. So this could be a practice that you put into place to be able to connect with your own creativity and energy and inspiration. But I kind of see it as this coming in, this energy coming into the heart space, and that's where you can access, the voice of your soul, the expression of your soul that wants to come forth. But it's a melding of intellect, higher consciousness that comes into the heart-centered space. So that's just how I'm seeing the energy that comes in and connects down and then kind of sparks or illuminates in the heart space for you to access. So it's using the intellect and the applied logic of the conscious of your own mind consciousness, your genius, and that soul-centered, soul-speaking, heart-centered space that is the perfect recipe, which brings in the revelations. It brings in the insight, the download, the spark of curiosity, the play energy, this, wow, this is a wild idea, but I'm actually going to throw caution to the wind and like have play and experiment with this and just explore and see what happens, and this very childlike playful energy. And it's like through that energy is this actualization, not just the revelation of the idea, but the actualization of the creation, the manifestation, and seeing things start to come into play for you in your life in ways that you couldn't even possibly comprehend. And so we also have the Gaia card, which the Gaia card traditionally speaks to about embracing your feminine energy and nature. Whether you're male or female, it says like this is a call to really embrace, nurture, acknowledge. There's another word that's sort of relish in your feminine creativity, your feminine energy, that intuitive, the one that connects with the etheric or non-physical, and allow that to be a predominant or guiding force within your life. And of course, that component of connecting with nature and how important, how vital that is to strengthen and ground ourselves. So it's like connecting with the feminine energy, but we want to ground it, which is the masculine component. So it's balancing both aspects. Just allowing yourself to frequently visit nature, and that could be the place where you find that spark of creation, inspiration. That might be your special place that you go to, or the walk that you go to, that is the igniter of being able to find the solutions or connect with that inspiration and those gifts and ideas and inventions that want to come through to you, for you, in service to the all. So I hope that has helped. I hope that resonates or supports you in some way. I certainly am wishing you the most wonderful June. And of course, all the details will be in the description box. I am offering personal sessions. So if you feel that you would like to connect with me and work with me, let's do that. Otherwise, if not, until next time, have a wonderful June, and I'll speak to you soon. Mwah. Much love. Bye.